Anything you need to know? About me? What do you want to know? California. Though, truth be told, I've spent most of my life in one bunker or another. My parents joined the Brotherhood when I was very young, so I grew up in the Order. Really? How rare. You'll have to let me interview you sometime. I'd love to know more about the vaults. I have a lot to take care of while we get settled in here, but I'll get back to you on this. Don't worry. I do. Scribes are critical to the Brotherhood's mission. It's a mission I believe in. The work that comes my way can get tedious or overwhelming, but knowing I'm helping the greater good keeps me satisfied. Appalachia. Well, it suits our needs well. It has its dangers, but it's in better shape than a lot of America. That means there's a lot of old tech lying around and in good enough condition for conservation. We're a strong organization with a noble goal. Our methods draw some flack sometimes, but we're doing the right thing.
You should get that mutation treated, civilian, before it becomes a real problem.
Of course. What's the next topic? Lucky for you, I know all about us. We're an order dedicated to the preservation of science and technology. We find and catalog knowledge from before the bombs and keep it safe. You could say that. You could also say we have no right to keep knowledge to ourselves. That everyone deserves to learn. We get that from time to time. I can see the argument, but I believe in our mission. Nobody else does what we do. If not for us, all the old tech would just rust away. California, all the way across the continent. I've read that people used to fly that distance in a few hours, but the trek took us months. Maybe eventually we'll get flying again, but for now it's an arduous journey. We're here to help the people of Appalachia, and to catalog any technological discoveries we find. We set up Fort Atlas to that end. This old observatory has a wealth of technology to discover, and is a good staging point for future operations. We also want to learn the fate of the old Appalachian chapter of our order. MIA, presumed KIA. To be honest, that's what I expected to hear. At least they died trying to make a difference. May they rest in peace. I knew some of them from a distance, but it's better if we don't get into that now. The Council of Elders, chief among them, High Elder Maxon, our founder. He proclaimed our mission and set us on the path we follow today. Our expedition leader is Paladin Romani. She's an aggressive and daring commander who's taken us through many trials.
Old world science solved a lot of problems back in the day.
Okay,
What
what do you want to know?
I'm glad we guard our tech.
Sure. What needs explaining? We're the heart of the Brotherhood's mission to find, catalog, and preserve pre-war technology. Though sometimes in practice, well, let's just say I spend a lot of time calibrating things. We record things. Histories, schematics, every bit of knowledge we can get our hands on.
Settlers.
We collect it all, compile it, and keep it safe, like old scholars or monks. Our name harkens back to that ancient tradition, so that's why we use it. Well, first you'll have to join up, and we don't just take anyone. Then it depends on your aptitude. Not everyone has the mind or patience for scribe work. But ultimately, if you're driven and competent, I don't see why not. Sure, what do you want to talk about? I'll be here if you need anything. What's the word from the wasteland? Good, you're here. So, how do you feel about reading comprehension? I was hoping to start out by sweeping the area for documentation left behind from before the war. Are you trying to get on my good side? Because that's how you get on my good side. But enough about that. I'd like to get started. Let's head downstairs and see what we can turn up. We really need to get a team down here to get things cleaned up. This must be Dr. Hammond, Atlas's lead scientist. We recovered some of his holotapes and logs in our initial sweep of the area. This tech down here is his handiwork, and he couldn't give it up. Even after the war, I should make arrangements for a proper burial. This looks like what we need. Here's a document. I think this is good. Let's talk for a sec. That should be enough to start. Let me take a look. Atlas decommission report. So the project was in bad shape after all? I knew it sounded too good to be true. Fascinating. Wow. This is some seriously classified stuff that I just let you read, isn't it? I wasn't supposed to show you any of this. I guess you're right. There's only so much I can tell you, but I'll share what I feel is relevant. Atlas wasn't exactly an observatory before the war. That was just a front. The military conducted research here. Pretty advanced research. We're down here to investigate and see what's worth salvaging for the Brotherhood. We run a tight ship in the Brotherhood. Or, at least we're supposed to. All of the information. I was hoping we could get through this without you needing to know, but I guess that was too much to ask. Now, let's follow up on some leads from this report. I'd like to do a quick inspection of some key components that should be nearby. There's probably a terminal around here. If it's still running, we can do a diagnostics test. That will tell us about some of the less accessible hardware. The report mentioned that the machine's intake pump was under a lot of pressure. Let's find the release valve for that and give it a spin, see what happens. Finally, the lower core on this level should have a wiring box. Why don't we take a glance at that to get an idea of the electrical hookups? The release valve is an emergency mechanism that can relieve pressure on the intake pipes if they come under stress. If all is well, we'll just be able to turn it and nothing out of the ordinary will happen. The diagnostics test can tell us the state of some key components that we won't be able to test manually. Keep an eye on the state of each component and we'll want to look into them after the initial check. Think of the wires like the blood vessels of the machine. Without the electricity running, we just need to do a little checkup and see what condition they're in. Should be a simple inspection. You can have point, but I'll be looking over your shoulder. Take note of the details and we'll... Interesting. I wish we had the people to get this stuff up and running again. Looks like we've got company. That does it for the inspection. Let's talk. All right, let's go over the inspection results. The diagnostics check revealed some issues. Flux disruption in the induction loop, intake valves ruptured, and the ion focus? All right, let's go over the diagnostics check, flux disruption in the induction loop, intake valves rupture. Oh, misaligned. Next. All right, let's go over the diagnostics check, flux disruption in the induction loop, intake valves ruptured, and the ion focus? Misaligned. Problematic to say the least. Next, we have the release valve. That went... Well, what was your assessment? Not okay. Explosive decompression is not what we're looking for. Last but not least, the wiring. The wires were... Yep. I think the warm reception they gave us also points to that. Okay, well, sorry about the pop quiz. But in general, you're handling yourself well so far. Nobody does, outside of a classroom. That's why I love to evaluate new prospects this way. If I'm going to recommend you to Paladin Romani, I need to know you're serious. Can you pay attention? Think on your feet? If you can, you are in my favor. If you can't, then, well, maybe I reconsider my recommendation. I'm worried about what our inspection turned up. There are a few parts I'd like to extract and examine in my lab. There's the pressure gauge, the core processor, and the ion focus. They should be upstairs. There's a lot I can learn from examining them if we can pull them out and get them back to my lab in decent condition. I want to take some notes on the core up there, so I'm going to leave the parts removal to you. Each extraction will be a little different, but in general, you'll want to use a light touch. I want the components in good condition, so please be careful. Any questions, or are you ready to get started? The brain of the machine. It's the component that coordinates all of the others. It should be slotted into a terminal somewhere. May take a little technical know-how to extract, but nothing you can't handle, I'm sure. A very important and technical component. It helps force particles into a beam that the machine could fire to affect the weather. Could take a bit of manual... You saw what happened when we tested. I want to examine the stress on the gauge. That could tell us... Oh, and you may have to pry it off, but be careful about... I'm counting on you. Oh, I thought of one more thing. Can you pick up the induction coil up there on the machine core? What was that? What is this thing? That doesn't sound good.
Try not to be on the planet. It's difficult to remove. Up to date.
Whew. Whatever you did up there, the security system sure didn't like it. Now that that's over with, let me... The pressure gauge looks like it's in good condition. The core processor is pristine. Good work on that. The ion focus looks usable. Impressive. The induction coil seems fine. That's a relief. And what is this? This is... Is this ultrasight? Fascinating. This looks like some kind of compact power source. None of the documents, none of the terminals said anything about this. Did this power the whole machine? The fuel of the future. I'd heard the stories, but Project Atlas may be beyond our power to repair, but I expected the machine to use a small reactor's worth of energy. They condensed... You were a big help. I'm sure you have... Here, take this letter to Paladin Romani. She'll make the final call on letting you into the Brotherhood, but I'm going back upstairs to take a look at these components. I need to catalog our findings. If nothing else, this ultrasight battery has piqued my interest. There's a lot I could learn from reverse engineering it. Oh, I'm giving you access to my private terminal, too. It has all the logs we recovered from when we moved in. After what we just went through, I think you deserve to know more about Project Atlas. Take a look if you get some free time. Thanks again for your help, and good luck with the Paladin.
You should get that mutation treated, civilian, before it becomes a real problem.
Observatory's so busted up. I'd love to leave this.
Protection? I have everything I need here.
Requests for the Brotherhood should be passed through Night Shin. Ah, you must be the one I've been hearing about. Well, between this and the report I have from Night Shin, we can discuss. Consider it carefully.
Right. The people
Membership in the Brotherhood is a commitment. With time and training, you may one day join the Scrolls as a knight or scribe. On a day-to-day basis, Knight Shin would be your direct superior here, though any of the officers may requisition you for missions if needed. I know we can seem cold to... What I want you to understand is that we are committed to help. We want to aid in the restoration of civilization. Both have given their approval to your initiative. Knight Shin said that your attitude regarding the role of the Brotherhood in relation to the civilian community. Nonetheless, he felt your intentions were, which means he probably thought I'd like.
each day in service of the
In
Brotherhood.
short, she thinks you are capable, helpful. Yes? With the recommendations of Knight. But first, I need... In order to be effective in our operations here, if we make them see us as a beneficial presence. We have reports of feral ghoul attacks on traders and travelers in the south. I want you to clear it out.
Perfectly preserved pie with every dinner declined.
Your reward is that limited intel suggests this is a milk run, perfect for a new recruit. Take this as an... While I'm not in the habit of explaining my priorities, you doing it accomplishes the mission. Complete this mission satisfactorily.
Disorder is to be expected.
We
in a
don't
place
know.
like Brotherhood.
Our initial reports on the attacks came... I think their sons were rather starstruck when we showed up. You should start your search there. They may know. Very well. Do this.